I welcome you to the third of the webinar series um, under the CCESC of Mapua, I think the last also, and this is entitled Introduction to Cybersecurity. Again, I am Engineer Eric Blancaflor, and I will be your speaker for today's session. So for this webinar, we'll first start with the course outline of the self-paced free course by Cisco entitled Introduction to Cybersecurity. We'll have short discussions on the need for cybersecurity. That this is to somehow motivate you, entice you to really look into the cybersecurity courses. Um, and then the last one is about attacks. So I'll have short discussions on the different types of attacks, different categories of attackers, and all about cybersecurity professionals. So why is security or cybersecurity hot nowadays? We have been hearing news of security breaches and attacks happening to large organizations and even small organizations. This may be a government agency or a private company and even a school. Especially nowadays that everyone is hooked online because of the COVID. Well, nowadays it's becoming a regular occurrence. So the need, and with this, the need for information security and network security skills and the resulting opportunities are tremendous. Um, we can see it here in the slide, a report from Frost and Sullivan and ISC. These are very popular company and organizations um, when it comes to cybersecurity. And in their report, the global cybersecurity workforce will have more than 1.5 million unfilled positions in 2020. And um, 10 IT skills that employers need in 2017. Cybersecurity is rated top three as a top three skills that will be in high demand for this was like 2017. And the average salary for the entry level in the US is ranging like from 64,000 to $113,000. This is a report coming from CIO from IDG and Indeed.com. I have another report here. This time it came from ISACA, Cybersecurity Skills Gap of 2016. Said in the report that cybersecurity jobs are growing 3 times faster than IT jobs in general. And 53% of employers currently take longer than 6 months to find qualified cybersecurity professionals. And there is a global shortage of 3.5 million cybersecurity professionals by this year, 2021. And last is that 80%, 84% of organizations believe that 50% or fewer applicants for open security jobs are qualified. And with all those data presented, I hope that you participants, I hope all of you will explore this self-paced. Again, this is a free course um, offered by Cisco. This is through Mapua CCESC as a network academy, a Cisco Network Academy, um, to again explore the introduction to cybersecurity. In this self-paced free course, be able to explore cyber threats and how to stay safe in cyberspace and protect your personal and company data. A participant may learn how to protect your data and privacy online, also in social media, and why more and more IT jobs require cybersecurity awareness and understanding. In this self-paced free course, there are 5 chapters. There are video. There's also, of course, instructional content. There are activities. There are a few packet tracer activities for you to somehow have a glimpse of what are those skills you may explore when it comes to cybersecurity. There are quizzes and final exam to validate your learnings. I shall now present the details that are there in the 5 modules of Introduction to Cybersecurity. And for Module 1, it's entitled The Need for Cybersecurity. And in this module, it covers about online identity, the data, where it is, and why it is of interest to cyber criminals. Also, there's discussion about protecting data, about personal data and organizational data, and also last topic is about cyber warfare, and um, why organizations, nations, and government need cybersecurity professionals to protect their citizens and infrastructure. As for Module 2, it focuses on attacks, concepts, and techniques to conduct attacks. It first starts with vulnerabilities. Very important in cybersecurity or or for a cybersecurity professional to be well aware of the different vulnerabilities, especially on the IT assets. Okay, so like vulnerabilities of the server, vulnerabilities of the software, or even the hardware part that the infrastructure has. You will learn there's actually lots of things to learn about vulnerabilities. But again, this module is about introduction to site. It's an introductory part. There's lots of things to learn about vulnerabilities. It's more discussed in detail if you were to take a higher training program in cybersecurity. I think later Nexus Guard will have their own presentation, and there you'll be able to see a much more level up training courses when it comes to cybersecurity. Um, Next in the agenda of Module 2 are techniques used by the attackers. So I think no most of you what you have in mind is you want to be like a somehow when it comes to cybersecurity is to be like a police or a soldier. You want to protect your assets, your organization's assets. Um, but in order for you to do that, you also have to think like an attacker. You also have to think like a hacker. You should know what are their tactics. You should know what are those tools that they're using. And you'll be surprised in cybersecurity that in order for you to even defend your assets, your organizations, and even you yourself, your personal data, is there are some security tool. There are some hacking. There are some hacking tools that you also may use in order for you to defend your organization. Okay. And then another agenda in Module 2 are characteristics and operations of a cyber attacks and trends in the cyber threat landscape. As for Module 3, which is entitled Protecting Your Data and Privacy, this module covers how to topics on how to protect your personal devices and data. Also through when you connect to wireless network, means to secure wireless network connections. Very important on the side of the user that they know what are those strong authentication, especially nowadays that there's like this multi-factor authentication, which are very important, in my opinion, for let's say for those payment channel platforms and also in social media. Okay. Also very important on the side of the network administrator, system or security administrator, and how to set up their infrastructure, say a server or a network device, with um, providing strong authentication in these resources. Also in this module 3, it covers protecting devices from threats and also how to safeguard your privacy. Like there's discussions on um, the privacy settings of social media like Facebook. In Module 4, entitled Protecting the Organization, it covers equipment, data, also terms like botnet, skill chain, and behavior-based security. Very important in an organization, especially if security, information security, or cybersecurity is critical, that it has this group of individuals or a team that is in charge to respond in times of incident. They should be well versed with incident response and incident management. So it is covered here in this module. This team we call a cybersecurity incident response team. Also about security playbook, idea of that is also a part of this module 4. I think in module 2, that is when we mentioned about attack. There's two very important keywords in cybersecurity, the attack and counter attack. The attack and then the defend or protect. So the attack part, it's there, it's an agenda in module 2. Meanwhile, here in module 4, this is where this discussion on the counterattack or protecting the organizations or the assets of the organizations are covered. So there are different techniques on how to counterattack or protect. So it's discussed here, module 4. Aside from that, behavior-based approach to cybersecurity, and also Cisco has its own approach to cybersecurity. You will be able to see that here in module 4. And as for the last module in the introduction to cybersecurity, this is entitled, Will Your Future Be in Cybersecurity? First in the agenda are about legal and ethical issues in cybersecurity. I remember in BS IT where I also handled cybersecurity specialization. Under this topic, we usually cover US laws, regulations, and ethical protocols, example about computer fraud, about espionage, about extortion, about, well, pornography, and data privacy and intellectual property. So there's actually lots of things to learn when it comes to legal and ethical issues that is in relation to cybersecurity. And also, the last bullet is exploring the opportunities for pursuing an education and a career in cybersecurity. As I observe nowadays, there's lots of schools outside the country who are offering bachelor's degree in cybersecurity. Here in the Philippines, we are already starting. The fact that it's already a bachelor's degree, so and as to also my as to my personal experience, I've looked into how diverse the knowledge and skills that are out there in this field. Believe me, there's a lot. Um, so this is, I think, one reason why there's like really a degree for cybersecurity. But right now in BSIT, we're we're offering it first as a specialization track for BSIT. I think I mentioned that already. So um, there's even masters actually. There's also other universities who are offering a master's degree in cybersecurity. So um, there's lots of training programs offered by Mapua CCESC when it comes to cybersecurity. And in fact, Mapua CCESC even started a cybersecurity academy. So I think later you'll be able to see what are those courses offered by Nexus Guard. Like after my presentation, I think that's they have they have a moment for them to present their training programs in relay or courses in relation to cybersecurity. And later you'll have a breakout room. So there's Luis and other staff of CCSC to guide you through what are other courses offered by Mapua CCESC when it comes to cybersecurity. Now, next in the agenda of this webinar series is a taste of discussions about cybersecurity. So at least for you to have an idea on how discussions in cybersecurity are. So the first part is entitled The Need for Cybersecurity. So let me start my discussion by defining what a security is, and this is the quality or state of being secure. And what we mean by this is to be free from danger. Also, security is a means to be protected from adversaries. Adversaries are those who would do harm intentionally or otherwise. Usually, an organization should have multiple layers of security controls in order to protect its operation, its assets, or its resources. And I have different lists here. So, an organization should, it should have physical security controls. These are to protect physical items, objects, or areas in an organization from unauthorized access and misuse. Say, for example, having biometric locks or different types of locks, even padlocks actually. So it falls under here, physical security or having bollards or man traps. Also, next in the item is personal security. These are to protect the individual or group of individuals who are authorized to access the organization in its operation, having a personal security guard. Okay, so that's one agenda under personal security. And then we have operation security. These are to protect the details of a particular operation or a series of activities. You know what, in cybersecurity, it's not all technical. It's not all about coding. That's one, in my opinion, a misconception about cybersecurity. It's not all about coding. It's not all about configuring or setting up devices or exploring technologies. Having policy, setting up policy making is also one factor of one thing you need to learn about cybersecurity. So like setting up policies and procedures are all under operation security. And then communication security, these are to protect an organization's communication, media, technology, and content. We also have network security. These are to protect network components, connections, and contents. In my opinion, Cisco is has a very good program when it comes to um, computer networks, and one is CCNA, and there are topics in the CCNA where it covers network security, like in the switch about port security, also has discussion about VPNs. So these are all falling under network security. And well, all of these are all encapsulated or covered within the information security. And we narrow down security to information security. And when we talk about information security, this is the protection of information and its critical elements, including systems and hardware that use, store, and transmit that information. And to protect the information and its related system from danger, very important for cybersecurity professionals to be well aware of different security tools. Let me share that if you were to explore security tools, very important that you have to have in-depth knowledge on computer networks. So like you should have taken the network fundamentals, in my opinion. That's best. Also, it's a plus factor um, if you're well versed with configuring network devices. Of course, you have to be computer literate. Also, you have to have, in my opinion, to have like a basic knowledge in programming. Um, and Linux administration. I think Cisco has also a self-paced course for introduction to Linux. Later, I think you can ask CCCSC staff about it. Um, yes, so that's it. So I think these are the important skill set prerequisite. Like you have to have like really have this knowledge. If you were to explore cybersecurity. Usually you first take security fundamentals. Like if you were to explore security fundamentals, you will notice that there are some chapters that talks about computer networks that also deals with commands in Linux. So that's why very important if you have knowledge in this skill set. And again, as I mentioned, cybersecurity is not all technical. So it also includes policy making, setting up procedures. Also very important that you um, read a lot, um, like look into security awareness and training. Okay, so there. So I think these are some of the tools that you may explore when it comes to cybersecurity. Um, and its prerequisite. So I have here SIA triad. No, SIA stands for confidentiality, integrity, and availability. There's another plus item here, the non-repudiation. Um, but the three most important ones are the SIA. With confidentiality, um, it ensures that usually this is a factor for data transmission. Once data is transmitted, let's say over the internet or over the network, is that the sender and the receiver are the only ones should be able to read the data. And way for us to work on this is through encryption. So there's lots of discussions of encryption, cybersecurity. Um, there's a couple. There's lots of encryption mechanisms you need to know, and you need to know their characteristics, um, and how to work on them. Okay, setting them up or adding it there in your uh, code. Let's say when you are to develop a system, say a website, for example. For integrity, integrity is to ensure that the data has not been altered. So it happened. So it's possible. Let's say you're using your app and you paid 40,000 pesos to Lazada, and then Lazada's server receives not 40,000 but 4,000 pesos. Okay, it's a possibility um, that the attacker or intruder may alter the data being transmitted. It's very important on the receiver side that these alterations or say errors, okay, errors are to be detected. So this is one factor in the integrity. As for the availability, there's this one type of attack we call as denial of service, where the agenda of the intruder or attacker is to halt or uh, slow down the connection or of the service, or worst is really to um, turn it off. So with that, availability is compromised. So um, with that, very important that the organization should address these issues. No? So, like under availability factors may include observing redundancy, um, ensuring that yes, there's backup. For example, for integrity, on the other, I forgot the means to ensure integrity. There's what we call as hashed mechanisms. Okay. There's also like error detection mechanisms. So these are factors under integrity. So I have this diagram. So I like this diagram a lot. I actually got this from Principles of Information Security because it shows how diverse cybersecurity is. Um, so this is under the defense in depth. As did I mention again, I need to take credit the Principles of Information Security by Whitman. This is where I got this material. So these are your assets, the one in the middle here, and as we mentioned a while ago, that very important to provide different layers of security. That say for your data, you may have encryption, data and drive encryption, or implement, of course, very important to classify your data, also process for or procedure for your data wiping and cleansing. For application security, well, we have code review. For I think uh, that this is very important for programmers, right? And another, we have web application firewall. For endpoint security, there's IDS, IPS. There's dispatch management. There's also this DLP for network security. We have this web proxy. Um, what else? We have also network IDS, IPS. We have also wireless security and also for mobile. For perimeter, there's this DMC. There's this malware analysis. Okay, there's a lot. See that? We cannot cover everything in just this short session, and that's one reason why there's series of training courses offered under cybersecurity. And as I mentioned a while ago, there's even universities who were offering bachelor's degree in cybersecurity because there's really lots of stuff you can learn in cybersecurity, and it shows here in this diagram. And last of my agenda is about attackers and cybersecurity professionals. A threat is an object, person, or an entity that represents a danger to an asset. And once that threat is put into action, we call that already as an attack. So an attack can be originated within the organization or from outside the organization, like as shown here in the figure. So one example of an internal security threat, say an internal user like an employee or a contract partner has accidentally or intentionally mishandled confidential data, or say there is an outside attacks, say that were facilitated by connecting infected USB media into the corporate computer system, or say accidentally invite malware onto the network through malicious email or websites, like especially nowadays when we check our email, we have to be very careful by clicking links, because automatically by just clicking link nowadays, it can automatically download a malware into our device. um, so these internal threats, I've seen lots of resources that internal threats really did pose potential danger, or greater damage as compared to external threats. Well, because reasons why our internal users have direct access to the building and its infrastructure devices. Employees also have the knowledge On the corporate network, its resource and its confidential data, and they may even have different levels of user or administrative privileges. On the other hand, external security threats, these are it may be amateur or skilled attackers that exploit vulnerabilities in the network or computing devices in the organization, or they may use social engineering to gain access. So I have here in the chart different types of cyber attackers, like organized attackers, like cyber criminals, hacktivists, terrorists, state-sponsored hackers like black hats or gray hats, and amateurs, to name some. So, in general, attackers are individuals or group who attempt to exploit vulnerabilities or weaknesses for personal or financial gain. Attackers are interested in everything from credit card to product designs and anything with value. So, I have here a list of some of the different types of attackers. Like we have script kiddies or amateurs. So, these people are attackers that has little or no skill. They often use existing tools or instruction found on the internet to launch attacks. Some of them are just curious, and while others are trying to demonstrate their skills and cause harm. So they may be using basic tools, but the results can still be devastating because they're not well aware of what is happening on those tools that they are exploring. It's maybe one reason why. And next is our hackers. These are a group of attackers that break into computers. They know how to exploit a resources or an asset, um, or exploit a given network. So what we mean by exploit is that they have already gained access to the um, resource, to the network, or to the system. So depending on the intent of the break-in, these attackers are classified so as white hat, gray hat, or black hat. Usually, white hat are the good guys. They are usually hired by the organization or the company in order to expose vulnerabilities in the infrastructure in a way um, the IT team, network security system administrator, and those persons involved may remediate those vulnerabilities that were found during the um, conduct of, usually we call it as penetration testing, the conduct of penetration testing well done by the white hackers or white hat. And then we have the black hat. These are the bad guys. Okay. Usually the black hat are um, the ones that take advantage of any vulnerabilities for illegal personal, financial, or political gain. And then the last one is the gray hat attackers. They are somewhere in between the white hat and the black hat. The gray hat attackers may find a vulnerability in the system, and gray hat hackers may report the vulnerabilities to the owners of the system if that action coincides with their agenda. So some gray hat hackers publish the facts about the vulnerabilities on the internet so that other attackers can exploit it. And then the last in my item is the organized hackers. These hackers include organizations of cyber criminals, hacktivists or terrorists, and state-sponsored hackers. So cyber criminals are usually group of personal criminals focused on control, power, and wealth. And then the criminals are highly sophisticated and organized, and they may even provide cybercrime as a service to other criminals. So I have here a list of the different attacks, popular attacks I can say, that are out there. There's many, no? There's just this is just a few. So start with IP scan and attack. Attackers usually exploit network tools, example Nmap. With Nmap, be able to identify those active IP addresses, and in effect, with the knowledge in network fundamentals, be able to know those inactive IP addresses. Okay, so this is actually under reconnaissance type of an attack. Reconnaissance meaning information gathering. Very important for an attacker to go on to the next level of its um, attack or hacking is to really first gather information. One very important information needs to be gathered are the IP addresses. And then we have viruses. So viruses are unwanted programs or a code inserted to a program. There are viruses that are harmful, there are viruses that are harmless. Very important for cybersecurity to really be well updated of those different types of viruses out there and what they do. Um, so there. Next are password cracking or password attack. Um, in this IT cybersecurity specialization, we have a Metis-engaged facility where they have virtual machine. In this facility, there are virtual machine laboratory. I still have time later be able to show you one for you to um, at least for you to be motivated that in an online setup, it's possible to explore tools, security tools, uh, in an online setup. So like two actually popular password attack tools or password cracking tools are John the Ripper and Cain in the Bell. And these are like in this IT cybersecurity specialization, they are exploring these um, password cracking tools. We have denial of service and distributed denial of service. There's actually even freeware. You can just Google. You can find very good denial of service tools out there. These are tools or software we use to if we want to slow down or turn down actually even turn down our target device. Then we have spoofing. These are procedures or techniques on how to imitate an IP or a MAC address or you know what? There's even websites that can clone uh, uh, a website. So that's one also example of spoofing. You can Google it, you will find it interesting, website cloning. And then we also have spam. These are again unsolicited emails, unwanted emails. And then um, in Principles of Information Security by Whitman, which is actually the basis of these uh, items here, they considered information security as not only as a science but also as an art. Well, because of the social engineering type of an attack, where uh, usually attackers or hacker, what it will do is to manipulate the individual. So that's one example of social engineering attack. And you know what? There are um, popular attacks out there. Um, And first thing it did is uh, to conduct phishing. Phishing is actually a type of a social engineering type of an attack. And last in my agenda are these cybersecurity professionals. I have here a list. I've seen this in Facebook. I think the source is Nexus Guard. Yes, the source is Nexus Guard X Magna Lux. So it has this list of cybersecurity professionals and even their salary, annual salary. Yes, annual salary here in the Philippines. Like I think no, like 10, 15 years ago, I haven't seen this position, no, but now, yes, they are in demand based on those data I've presented in this webinar. So we have like certified ethical hacker, there's like this security engineer. Before there's only like network engineer and systems engineer, but now there's also like about information security and cybersecurity engineer. Of course, we have the CISO, Chief Information Security Officer. I remember there even EC Council, it's also one popular uh, it's a neutral vendor that an organization that provides training programs for cybersecurity. They have a training program for CISO, a Chief Information Security Officer. And yes, I think I can say Mapua CCSC is now also a partner of uh, or about to be a partner of the EC Council. We also have security consultant, um, and what else? Information security officer, information security analyst, cybersecurity analyst, and then it seems it paid well. They're well compensated, right, based on the salary we have here presented. And that ends my webinar series. I hope you learned in this webinar, and I hope you a lot, no, or even just a few. Uh, so uh, I think next in the agenda is the presentation of Nexus Guard, and yes, I hope you do take time to enroll the introduction to cybersecurity and be able to see those materials that are out there and assess if this is the right track or career for you. Uh, this is again Engineer Eric Blanco Flor, and I'd like to thank you for listening. Together, we learn as one. Thank you.